to the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode number 78. You join myself, Chris, alongside my lovely co-host, the techie teacher himself, Mr. Tom, joins us this week. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm in dire need of a haircut. It's been way too long. I think the last time I had a haircut was right before Christmas, so it's been a solid few months, and it's getting a bit long at the back, so I've got to do something with it. So I'm sporting a non-traditional method of headwear today.
It's a snood, we've decided.
It's a snood. It's a snood as a bandana.
Snood hat. And below him,
desperate times,
the man of many pixels, who probably doesn't own a snood, Mr. Richie.
You know what? I actually do own a snood.
Good man.
I used to, when in my early 20s, I used to go skiing with my brother for a couple of years, and I actually bought a snood, so I do own the snood.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Snoodcast 2021.
Yes. Sounds of Snoodia.
Sounds of Snoodia. Here we are for episode number 78 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Of course, the longest running Stadia podcast this side of Google Maps. And we do have a great show for you this week. We've got we're going to be talking about Why Life is Strange on Stadia. Some exciting Rainbow Six, Parasite, Quarantine, name it what you will, leaks, and all the other exciting game news round up for you lovely viewers and listeners out there. Do remember, if you are new to the channel, give us a like down below, subscribe and hit that bell so you are kept in the loop with all things Sounds of Stadia, because we have a lot of content coming out this channel on a regular basis, and we don't want you to miss out. Why miss out? You'll look like a person in a snood if you miss out.
Thanks.
We've had. Do I have one? No, I don't own one.
Shots fired.
Shots fired at the snood wearers out there. Episode 78, stepping aside, we promise we won't talk about it anymore. We've had a busy week this last week with lots of Stadia announcements. Bit of housekeeping for you all. If you are into FIFA 21, myself and Richie jumped in this past Saturday for a soccer showdown, Soccer Saturday, with the one and only Jeff Stelling from Sky Sports. He wasn't there really. And we played many matches with the lovely community out there, back and forth. 2 hour surprise, Richie. And I voiced my opinion on Twitter anyway. FIFA 21, for a mass multiplayer game in the 21st century, doesn't have many online multiplayer options, Tom. There's a couple of people in the community who try to help us out. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Before we got into the live stream for such a big sports title, I and Richie, I think, genuinely thought we would jump in with all of the viewers and we'd go play a game. I'd pick a team and I'd hit invite and just invite people from my friends that's into a game, and we could all play together. We could all either share sides, be on the same team versus the AI, whatever it was. And apparently that's not a thing. So just to rip that plaster off and get straight into it.
You know what? I was quite pissed off about it because EA are fucking around with things like card games and online pro clubs and seasons and shit, and they can't make a basic matchmaking system.
My experience of FIFA is quite limited, so obviously you both have a little bit more knowledge about this sort of thing. But can you create an online sort of Wembley-style tournament where you invite everyone? No. See, that's the kind of thing that I feel like it should have. Like
you can create tournaments, but it's offline only, although. So it's like.
But surely, if you want to do something with a community online, you'd want to invite, let's say, 16 people. You all jump into a lobby, pick your teams, it automatically sorts you, and then each of you just plays your own matches till you.
You would think.
Can't do it.
So
that sucks.
Yeah, it's really weird because I know Richie, one of our friends, who's like a devoted FIFA fan. He gets the platinum trophy in every single year. That's how committed he is to the game. And every time we go around his, we have a few drinks, and he makes a tournament where we all pick a team, we all get shuffled into a hat, we get put into a table, and it's almost like knockout fixtures until we get one eventual winner. And it can go on for several hours. But applying that to online with your friends list online, it's just not a thing. You can basically, if I wanted to play Richie, I couldn't even do just a 1v1 match. I have to start a season with Richie where it'll give us like 5 fixtures, and the best of all 5 fixtures wins the cup. So it's got it in a smaller degree, but not like you said. It's 11 people versus 11 people. It's the ideal platform to make a multiplayer online game, and it's so restricted. It's surprising, actually.
It's like all I wanted to be able to do is just go into the kickoff, and when you're on the side select, just press usually Y, and then just have my friend list pop up and just invite people from there.
Yeah.
that's how simple we're talking of a feature that is missing. And it's quite annoying that they're fucking around with things like Volta Football, Ultimate Team, the Journey and stuff, and all these additional modes, which are probably cool in their own right, but the basic online multiplayer is garbage.
But not to throw too much of a shade on the game, because obviously it came out last it came out last Thursday with a great discount. Came in at about $25, I think, £21, I think, for us Brits. And I've seen loads of people pick it up across the community, have a great time with it. I really just wanted to drive home the message that it runs fantastic. I've played it on. I said on the stream on Saturday. Many games, career mode. I've played online with Richie a couple of times, and obviously the community as well. I've played on my TV with the Chromecast, my phone, my tablet, and my PC set up here. Runs smooth as anything. Graphics look great. Obviously, FIFA's not the most graphically intense game. Some of the face models of the real life players are great. But then the lesser important footballers, let's just say, they tend to get generic 101 makeover. But again, it's never been the best. Like the career mode, the conversations you have with like the players' agents, so bad. They don't have dialogue, and they're so clunky. But again, it's not. That's what the game's for. It's about simulating like thousands of like plays and statistics all through one engine. But my experience so far is that I've loved it. I've started a career campaign. And I've played it on multiple devices, and I'm just having a great time with it. And this is why I staved off buying FIFA on my PlayStation 5, is because I wanted that portability, and I can see myself playing so much more of it because I had the freedom to just play anywhere. It's fantastic. It's like I'm carrying around a football with me, lads, and I can just kick it against the wall if I need to. Richie, what was your first take on it, aside from the multiplayer fiascos?
It does have a bit of stuttering in game, but I've had that on all the PS4 versions I've had as well. So that's not a Stadia issue, in my opinion. That's just a bit of bad coding. But other than that, it's FIFA on Stadia, and it's fine. Apart from the rant about the online stuff, but.
Mm-hmm. And Tom, you mentioned obviously you're not as versed in Stadia, FIFA or football, but you have picked it up because of course you're a big supporter of developers when they bring these titles over to the platform. And you were telling us pre-show that you've started a little career yourself.
I have, yes. So I've actually chucked a bit of cash into EA's pocket here. I actually bought the Ultimate Edition of the game. Yeah.
What do you actually get for the Ultimate one? Like, do you get
basically cards? Basically cards. I haven't actually jumped into Ultimate Team yet either, but I know that's where a lot of the focus on the game is. As Richie said, basically it's football meets Magic the Gathering. But I have for somebody who hasn't played FIFA for quite some time. I think the last FIFA game I played might have been probably something like FIFA 12 or something like that. So it's been quite a while. I jumped in. I played the opening game. So I played the Liverpool Paris Saint-Germain game at the very beginning. Absolutely smashed Liverpool, which was kind of fun. And then I immediately was sort of taken by almost like the pro mode and creating a career and playing as a player on the pitch. I enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed my experience with it so far, and I haven't had any sort of, for me personally, no visual stuttering, nothing in terms of like frame loss or anything within the game. It's actually been pretty smooth from the get-go. There was one little issue I had when it loaded a stadium in, and don't know whether it was just because it was a lower league team where they obviously don't have a full massive arena, but it looked like the two ends of the stadium rather than having the seats at like ground level. Essentially, it almost looked like it was trying to render the background, but it didn't. So it was like two big grey blocks at the ends of the stadium,
slotted in the background.
Yeah, it was just cardboard cutout ends, just dunked in at either side. But it's been a great experience, and I've actually been really surprised at how much I've enjoyed it, to the point that the career mode in particular has had me wanting to go back again and again. And I found myself with my mobile just like taking it with the Kishi at lunchtime at school, and getting a couple of career games in while I'm on my lunch break, which is, as you said, it's the portability of it, and that's where I think it really shines, that I can just jump in and play a game and get that done. It's fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
It's the sequential nature of the games as well. Like, you can set your timer for 5 minutes, a half, and then if you've got half an hour lunch, once you've finished your food, obviously, quickly get that down. And then if you have, say, 20 minutes left, within that 20 minutes you can get a game in. You're not logging into Avengers or Destiny or something where you think, oh, I'm going to get stuck here playing for 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to just have to cut it dead. Because we all know, ladies and gentlemen out there, you can't pause an online game. We all know the pain from our parents telling us to turn that damn thing off. Yeah. But yeah, FIFA in a nutshell runs really well. Great port for Stadia. Obviously, it has came half a season too late for a lot of people, but I was one. I think I decided I wanted to support early on, and hopefully we will see FIFA 22.
The price was. I was quite advocate on it has to get the prices right, and I think it was.
Yeah, so. I'd agree.
I would agree also, and I think that discount's there till the end of the month, give or take. So if you are on the fence with it, I would say it's worth it just to have a sports game on the go, even if it is last year's iteration. We don't know what the future holds for FIFA 22 yet, so I don't want anyone getting caught out by FIFA 22 doesn't come launch day, and then all of a sudden FIFA 21 is still £50 to buy. Whereas if you can spare the £20 odd now, then definitely recommend it as something to just kill a bit of time and enjoy. It is a
couple months of cream modes. I'll be happy.
Exactly.
Before we move on, though, I've got a quick quick sort of like discussion point. I thought before we wrap up, like tie a nice little bow around FIFA 21. Yeah, put a snood on it. What are your thoughts on the fact that we didn't actually get a free-to-play weekend as we did with Madden for FIFA? Because I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity for me personally.
Yeah, I think I was expecting it, and then interesting enough, we got an NBA 2K21 free weekend instead.
A game that is not being supported on Stadia and is broken on Stadia. We got a free weekend of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really peculiar.
I wonder if it's just EA. It might be an EA's decision when no, we're not going to, because maybe they have a bit more faith in FIFA. With FIFA, I know things like Madden is huge in the United States, but basically nowhere else in the world. FIFA is an absolute global beast, so maybe they just have a bit more faith, and maybe NBA was the compromise.
It could pertain to something like they're saving it for a certain like football date to maybe. So like if EA say you can have one free weekend, instead you think like when is the best place to put it? Is it at launch? And then they could have looked at the Madden statistics and said actually the conversion rate from free trial weekend to purchases wasn't amazing. We might want to drop FIFA something maybe at the start of next football season instead, and that could be like their one shot in the hole. So when the Premier League kicks off in August, because the next FIFA iteration generally doesn't come till late September, that could be like a nice window to say, oh, hey, football's back, here's a free weekend, go.
I suppose we've had like a 6-month run up to getting FIFA. By that point you can already research what the game is, because it's out on other platforms, and literally for me it came down to purely just what's the price. If I look at the price and go, I'm happy to pay that, then it's a guaranteed purchase. So I think they're probably already comfortable that either people are going to buy it or not.
Yeah,
and I don't know how much. Maybe the conversion rate of a free weekend would have not actually been that high.
Possibly. Good point though, Tom.
Yeah,
just worth mentioning.
Or maybe just because we bitched and moaned about it that much, they just didn't want to give us a free weekend. They can either buy it or shut up. It's out now. Stop moaning. But,
Chris, stop counting.
So we bought it, then we had another rant about it.
Yeah, exactly. Online mode. That's what we do here, of course. Yeah. Right, gentlemen, let's get into some positive news coming to Stadia. Tom, give us the rundown, will you please?
Of course, we're going to get straight into the super sexy special Stadia Stories segment, aka the news.
And this week's news is sponsored by our wonderful patron, Mr. Luke Langlands from Stadia Source. Thank you for supporting us, Luke. It does us a great service, and we do appreciate time and energy. And we should probably segment this as well as saying we are working still on the YouTube memberships, and a lot of our patrons have asked for the transferring of power over to YouTube from patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where they do get things like SideQuest early, exclusive chats as well, and game time with ourselves. But we are making that transfer. There's a couple of, again, finalisation things with YouTube's partner program we need to figure out. It's not as easy.
We finally
as
found
you think.
time today to actually sit and talk through it.
Yeah, so we are getting to work on that. But if not, patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. Remember, just like Luke does, you can support the channel. You can write in with your questions for the show. If you like what you see and you enjoy our content, we do appreciate it, and it helps us grow and bring better quality stuff to you. Right then, gentlemen. News for the week. We didn't pick up in the housekeeping because it's the main big stories. We got the Square Enix Presents Spring Edition was this past Thursday. We jumped on, we reacted to it live. We saw some of the amazing announcements that Square Enix had. Overall, Tom, did you get a chance to watch the presentation back at a later time, or you just read the news?
The highlights. I sort of skipped over a lot of it and just sort of focused in on the things that I was interested in, like the Avengers news and some other tidbits that we'll talk about today.
Wonderful. So me and Richie, my initial take on it was I thought it was a great event. It wasn't overly long. We knew what to expect ahead of time, which I thought was really, really critical, actually, giving us like a roadmap of these are the topics we will be discussing, and then if there's any surprises, happy days. We get a nice little surprise, as opposed to going in blind and going, oh, where was this? Where was that? Why was there no Final Fantasy? Like that kind of like approach.
They told us what I expect, and they delivered, and I walked away content.
Yeah, and I
actually,
thought
you were
content,
thoroughly whelmed.
Yeah, I was definitely whelmed.
Not underwhelmed. And the actual art style, we said through the show, Richie, but like the little graphics they had gone, it tied up all the IP really, really nicely. They took things from Life is Strange, Avengers, Tomb Raider and stuff, and they kind of just had a similar, really strong like artistic choice throughout. So the whole showcase seemed tied together really nice, and it just flowed really smooth. But the biggest stories to come out of it were, first up, we'll say probably the biggest announcement was Life is Strange True Colors, which is the next entry in the Life is Strange series, made by Deck 9, who of course made the Before the Storm DLC for number 1. They're taking the reins, which we anticipated anyway, and they're making a new title, a new entry. And the great thing for me with this entry, gentlemen, is it's not episodic anymore. Me and Richie, I think even just last week, bemoaned the episodic nature of these games, and that it has more detrimental impact than it does benefit for the title, because people fall off, people don't want to wait, people lose track of the story, and it just doesn't really work. So this title, have already said it's going to break that episodic formula. So you just buy a game, you get the game, and it's good to go. So to give our viewers out there, the video is playing below, but it's going to be set in the town of Haven Springs. True Color stars Alex Chen as your protagonist, a female Asian American protagonist, and feature a popular crossover character from Life is Strange's prequel, Before the Storm. So there is a character to kind of tie the two narratives together, and someone who you recognise. It's developed, like I said, by Deck 9. It's a prequel, same lead writers from the Before the Storm game. So you're probably going to have that similar tones they're going to hit. The story begins as Alex arrives in town to reunite with her brother after 8 years apart. But after a tragedy strikes, Alex will find she, like other Life is Strange protagonists before her, has a special power of her own. She can experience and absorb and manipulate strong emotions felt by individuals around her. So we won't go too much in depth past that. But by the sounds of it, she can read empathy and such, and so if like someone is scared, she can sense that and she can manipulate. I don't know whether she can manipulate the people or what, but it's going to probably have a deeper story to the whole thing as well.
For those who've never played a Life is Strange game, they are very narrative adventures, but they always have like a twist where your main character tends to have like a weird superpower. So like in the first game, you had the power to like rewind time a little bit.
Okay.
So this one appears that she's be able to like read and potentially manipulate people's emotions.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if I ask you to get me a drink and you said no, and I say no, you really want to get me a drink. It's kind of like the Force. Actually, you can really influence.
Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
Only money.
Only money.
What do you want to
Says don't nod.
Sorry.
What do you want to drink?
Rum and Coke, please, Richie.
All right.
I laughed. He just left, and never came back.
What would you do if I turned up in your house? Like I just disappeared, and while the show's going on towards the end of the show, there's a knock at the door, and it's me holding a rum and coke.
I mean, if I'm honest, Richie, if you just disappeared, I probably wouldn't continue with the show. I'd probably say to Tom, "What do we do now?" And then probably try and call you or text you, and then it would be very interesting.
Yeah.
So, Life is Strange: True Colors, of course, is the title, and it's coming out. It's available for pre-order on Stadia already. It's up on the store, so that means we kind of knew it was coming ahead of the announcement because it dropped on the shop online before we actually went live. But we kept it to ourselves. We didn't want to spoil anyone's surprise. And I'm just really happy that one, it's not episodic, and two, the game looks great. I like the color palette, the art style has always been very particular with the Life is Strange titles. And I'm just really looking forward to sitting down and playing the game. Not thinking, oh, let's see how this story starts and then wait 2 months and then wait another 2 months and just, enjoy it for what it is, because that's what I did with the first game. I just waited till it was all out and played it in one full playthrough. And that's what has prevented me from playing the second game, because I think it came out, episodes 1 and 2, and I think they messed up something with the timeline, and episode 3 or 4 took ages to be announced or come out, and then by then I was like, well, I'll just wait till it's done.
I fizzled out on it myself and then never got back to play it once it's all released.
But
which I need to.
Mm-hmm. And because Before the Storm was great, the first one was great, and they did that Tell Me Why game as well in between. I think that was the last title. That was pretty much
also
the
Avengers
that was from
Captain Spirit.
Oh yeah, that was like a free. Yeah. Did that kit? That was free, right, on PlayStation. Tom, what's your history with Life is Strange?
I think I've said on previous episodes before, but I have no experience of it whatsoever. So watching this is quite refreshing to me, because if I put the two side by side, like if I look at the original games compared to this does look a lot more polished. It looks a lot cleaner. Obviously, it's less dated because it's going to be a brand new title. Mm-hmm. But things from like the animation, literally the attention to detail and the clothing and stuff like that just looks fantastic. And like you, I like the idea of just being able to jump in and just play through the entire thing rather than have to wait every month, every 3 months, 6 months, however long it is for an episodic game. I'm quite excited to see not just that a new game is coming, but that Square Enix are really still quite supportive of the platform, because again that gives me hope really that there is still a future there for particularly this type of game, first of all, because we all love these narrative titles. Like we've said before, we love the Telltale's type games as well. Mm-hmm. And to have something that I believe is relatively similar in an extent to the Telltale games, but to have that additional mechanic of some form of superpower that will have some impact in the story in some way as well as is really quite nice. I'm looking forward to this. I may actually jump in and pre-order it and commit to it.
Ooh, yeah, because we've seen in the community.
I'm not pre-ordering it, but I will be buying it.
Yeah, we've seen in the community. This is again arguably after Far Cry and Riders Republic. This is probably the next big title we know of. I'd say it's not the biggest title by any stretch of the imagination, but it's from another big publisher, and it's another title that's coming day and date with everyone else. So it's nice to see that there is that roadmap, even though Stadia won't tell us it. The publishers are giving us information on games, thankfully, and the logo was there as well.
I still don't believe that. Like we can't categorize this as a AAA title, AA at best, I would say, but it is still something that is well renowned. It's a title that a lot of people within the gaming world know about.
It's got a passionate fan base. Life is Strange.
It does indeed. And in this kind of sidestep to all that, the Don't Nod, who's the initial people who started off Life is Strange, the original. They're working on another IP at the moment as well, because they got a cash injection from Tencent earlier last year.
That's where the money comes in.
So expect to see something from that, and hopefully, again, this just means the partnerships and the publishers are still committed to working on new Stadia titles. Because if this title wasn't coming and Far Cry 6 wasn't coming, we could sit here going like, well, what the hell is there for this year? Yeah. But again, that like all these like little rumours you hear swirling around is evidently the support is still there well into the future. And there's some more news later on this week that we'll talk about, which kind of cements that theory too. But off the back of this news, afterwards they also did announce, Tom, seems like you've not played the original as well, we got the great news that Life is Strange Remastered is also coming to Stadia. And me and Richie, we theorised on this on the actual main game, because they announced the remastered edition in the showcase event, with no mention of, or we thought no mention of Stadia, and it hadn't gone up on the Stadia store. So we just figured that, are we getting the new game but not the remastered game, which is a shame because, again, you'd want the starting jump-off point for everyone who's not played the game before. And it was pointed out later on that actually the Stadia logo was there in the trailer, and you can see it, even though it's not in the start of pre-order, which seems a bit peculiar, but there it is, autumn 2021. I hope it comes out before the new game. Like, don't do this backwards forwards thing where we get two colours and then the remastered one.
Although the thing is, even if they did, the games are not like, it's not like a continuation of the story. Each game set is around different characters. Although, with the exception of Before the Storm is a prequel to Life is Strange, and you should play Life is Strange then Before the Storm, though.
So I can confirm that it has already been announced that the remastered collection is also coming on the 10th of September.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
it's dropping the same day as True Colors.
Oh well. So I wonder why we don't have pre-orders. It's, again, very selective with Stadia pre-order games.
It is, yeah. I've always found that's pretty strange. It's almost like they put all their eggs in one basket with the new title. Realistically, when, for the most part, if we know that something's coming, it should be available to pre-order if somebody so wishes to do so. But I think we've discussed before that the whole point of pre-orders really on an online model like Stadia is it's kind of a moot point. It's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? Really,
unless you get an additional content out of it somehow.
Yeah,
pre-order.
But it's got to be for a numbers game. If anything, it's just to see who's interested, perhaps.
Indeed.
So we'll see.
So for you, Tom, I quite frankly would just recommend try the remastered one first, and then if that hits you in the feels, which I think it will, then hopefully pick up the newer one as well. But yeah, exciting stuff.
I think I'm finally going to try it.
2 big titles coming. Me and Richie both love them, and you guys out there should check that out too. So that was kind of the big tentpole announcement from the showcase. The rest of it was kind of just like filling in the gaps of games we know about already. We got a big announcement for one of my favourite games of last year. Marvel's Avengers is finally getting its long-awaited Black Panther expansion, the War for Wakanda. And they showcased that off in a great trailer. You saw the Panther statues, you saw a bit of like greenery, some flora, some fauna out there, and more importantly, we saw the reveal of little pieces of Wakanda as well. It looks like it's going to form part of a central hub within the Avengers world, which means another location for you to kind of hang out with your fellow S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And that's going to be coming later on in the summer. We knew again this was pushed back and delayed after the passing of Chadwick Boseman as well, so I think they've put that on the back burner a little bit, which has kind of had a knock-on effect. In the trailer, we hear the leader of AIM, Monica, talking to one Ulysses Claw, which you may recognise, played by Andy Serkis in the Avengers movies. Age of Ultron, I think, was his first one. Didn't last very long. But yeah, so looks like he's going to be one of the villains. My guess is he's going to look like Taskmaster in everything but visuals. But in terms of the game, exciting stuff, gentlemen. We're finally seeing some new character reveals, and they did come out with a roadmap as well. So to give the people out there that, we've got Operation Hawkeye dropped on the day of the content, so last Thursday. So that's available now for all you Stadia players out there. They're going to add, there's a thing called the Red Room Takeover, which I suspect is going to be in line with the Black Widow movie dropping, just because the Red Room ties in with her. Yeah. So, and she already is a character in the game. So this is what I've always said about the Avengers game. It should tie in with the content that's dropping elsewhere. We should get a Falcon Winter Soldier drop when that's on. We should get a WandaVision kind of thing when that happens. And when there's a movie comes out, they should tie it in. That's the perfect thing to build up hype. They've added some cosmic cubes, and there's a new area to fight in, Richie. You'll be thrilled to know. It's called the Wasteland. There's slightly new villains, but in all honesty, they're still just more robots to beat up. I don't think the game wants you killing humans. I think that's the problem with it. There's a PG R rating problem there.
Yeah.
And then finally we get the War of Wakanda expansion as well, which is going to come with obviously new heroes, new outfits, new enemies, location, and a story. Exciting stuff. But to put a cap on all that, I have played the Hawkeye DLC. It's very, very short. Disappointingly short, in fact. I literally must have finished it in less than 3 hours. It was a couple of missions, a couple of cutscenes, and then that was it. Here's the tease for what's coming next. I was done with it, and I still need to get Hawkeye up to level 50. The grind they implemented that we discussed on last week's show doesn't seem too harsh. In all honesty, I think after playing the expansion, I'm already up to like level 22, 23 after just 2 nights of playing. And when I say 2 nights, it was literally like two-hour segments of play. And now I'm waiting
to kick in a bit harder at a higher level. So.
Oh, true, yeah. Oh, well, maybe I'm on the cusp of hitting that grind then.
Maybe.
Again, I enjoyed what I played. I'm a big fan of Avengers. But once I finished that story mode, I was kind of like, oh, am I now back to the grind already after, 2 days from the announcement? And I know I've seen elsewhere they announced that Spider-Man is still in the works. I feel sorry for all those poor bastards who bought this on PlayStation hoping to play Spider-Man anytime soon.
Oh, dear.
That's still, if you think the roadmap, this is 2021 content. So Wakanda's probably going to be coming the back end of the year. You ain't seen Spider-Man till Christmas at the earliest, if not next year. And imagine if you bought that game in the hope that you were going to get to play Spider-Man, last November.
Well, There's a lot of people who've dropped out of Avengers already and probably will never go back. And there's a lot of them who bought it for Spider-Man won't get to play Spider-Man.
I mean, they can.
I don't know. I always just assumed that Spider-Man was going to be there at release because it feels weird to not be.
I think the problem with Spider-Man is if he's anything less than how he plays in Insomniac's version, he's going to be ripped apart for like how bad he's going to feel. Because if they just end up copying out like the way Hawkeye traverses, he shoots an arrow up and he gets kind of brought up like Batman's grapple hook almost. That's not Spider-Man. Spider-Man should be slick, smooth, and swinging through the streets.
He is going to be worse. You can't make him as good on this style of game. It's just that simple. So those who complain, it's not, the Spider-Man's not as good as Insomniac's, they need to realise they're not playing Insomniac's Spider-Man. This isn't a Spider-Man game.
Go by that.
Yeah. I also half expected that, like, if they were going to include Spider-Man from the get-go for the PlayStation version, that he'd almost just be like slotted into the cutscenes really awkwardly. So like when you've got like the A-Day parade and stuff like that, you've got all the Avengers on the stage, and then there's just Spider-Man, the animation just standing there waving, and then randomly throughout like the game, never talks, never says anything. He's just there.
Well, I imagine something like how Chris has just described, like the Hawkeye DLC, and like he's not going to be there throughout the main campaign, but then you kind of unlock him straight away at the end.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be like little episodic cutscenes before a mission, because the missions are very cut and dry. Here's an objective, defeat these villains, then there's a boss fight at the end, and in amongst that you can collect crates or take down leaders. That's the gist of the game, with maybe like a loose thread of narrative throughout it. I enjoy where the story's going. I think it's interesting how it's going to loop the whole game, because it does have like time travel stuff now, so it's going to link the whole game back in with the campaign. It's just how long they're going to take to get to create that loop. And there are things like hive rooms, and we know people online played some of like the end game content last September, and it's still not out yet. But this roadmap is very much 5 to 6 months behind what it initially was. This Wakanda stuff was obviously going to be out the back end of last year, and the start of last year. I can't get my dates wrong now, but either way, I still enjoyed it. Hawkeye plays great. His katana, his bow is very similar to Kate Bishop, and he's got lots of cool moves, lots of different arrowheads that mess up your enemies in a really fun manner. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to grind him to level 50 because I want everyone at level. I can't just leave him at 23 when the rest of my roster is at level 50. But yeah, the Wakanda stuff ideally for me needs to be sooner, because having played it this weekend and already finished it, it's like okay,
Chris.
Okay.
It's a bit of a sidebar for you then. Based on your experience, because out of the three of us, you're definitely the most versed with this game in particular, having played the every character up to 50 other than Hawkeye. How would you rate the inclusion of Kate Bishop and Hawkeye in amongst your experiences with the other Avengers so far? Like, do you find that they sit quite nicely in sort of like in terms of their skill set and their usefulness within missions, or would you position one of them higher, one of them lower? What I'm looking for, I suppose, is I want you to sort of rank
the Avengers,
rank the Avengers based on your experiences in games so far, for usability and so on. Yeah.
Okay, I'd say I had I definitely have the most fun with Thor, but I then partially think that's because Ragnarok's one of my favourite movies, and you wield Mjolnir for God's sakes, literally.
Yeah, Thor is fun.
And just like you feel powerful with Thor, he's got lightning abilities, and you can fly. There's really no restrictions on what he can and can't do. Second up, I'd probably say Iron Man, because again, the whole repulsor, the flying aspect does add a lot to the game, because these are wide open maps, and traversal is quite slow if you are just a human, essentially, which some of these are. After those two, let me think. I'd probably say Kate Bishop. Actually, I think slots in third. I really enjoy playing with her because she has the kind of quantum leap, which allows you to traverse really easily using kind of like zappy portal-esque movements, and the bow and arrow mechanics and the sword fighting is really cool. Who else is that? I'm trying to kind of think. Hulk's rubbish. He doesn't feel anywhere near as strong as he should be. He's a massive behemoth, and he does barely any damage to like a little robot. So that needs to be fixed from a design aspect. He looks cool, and he's got his moves. He looks cool, but he just doesn't have the aggression and strength I would expect from the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. So he's definitely down the back end.
You've got Cap, you've got Kamala, you've got Hawkeye, and you've got Black Widow.
Yeah, I'd probably say Cap, then Kamala. Cap's got a shield, but again, he still is just like a human on the ground. It takes ages to climb anywhere, and the shield, sometimes you throw it and it doesn't come back for a long time, and you find yourself a bit exposed. Kamala's cool because of the growth mechanics. She can go like really super big and stretchy, and actually, I'd probably say fun-wise, she might edge out Cap a little bit, just because she's a totally different character I've never played with before. And then probably Black Widow, and I haven't played enough of Hawkeye really, so they're kind of on that similar vein where they both traverse slowly. Their skill sets are limited to just human tools and weapons. And again, Hawkeye, as much fun as I've had, Kate Bishop has that portal jumping, which does make her a bit more dynamic. And she's a bit more sassy than Hawkeye. And I actually don't know, having Hawkeye second makes him just feel like I've already been there with that style of character.
Okay.
So even though his arrows are different, his core mechanics is very much still katana slices and...
That's an interesting point that you raised there, because that was my concern when they announced Kate Bishop would be joining, because they do have very similar skill sets. So to have two back-to-back Avengers, two heroes that are relatively similar, I found that quite questionable. I know they had to delay the Black Panther release, so they had to do something with that. But I just felt I was just a little bit concerned about how that would slot in. So it's interesting that you drew on that, because that was also my concern with it. Okay,
but Kate Bishop's content into the actual team, though, I felt like was a lot longer and a lot more like woven in, whereas Hawkeye very much feels like, we can just tack him on, tacky on him on the end of it, as it was. Nice. Drawing up on there. But again, enjoyed it, excited for what the future holds. The great thing, we should always caveat this with it, this is all free DLC. This hasn't cost me a penny to play. This could be a totally different argument if I'd had to drop another £10 for a season pass or something for this, but I haven't, so I do think some credit is deserved to say that all of these new characters, all of this DLC, has cost me nothing. It's free. If you buy the game, you have all of this to play. So if you've never played the game and you're buying it now while it's on sale, you're getting a lot of value for your money. So,
but in a nutshell, in Chris's words, play Thor, don't play Hulk.
Thor's so fun. Let's get back to that one. But yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what people listening to this actually think as well. So let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, get your ratings below. How would you rank your Avengers, and where would Spider-Man fit into all that? But I'm excited. We might play some more on a Thursday night, because I do have the most fun when I'm playing with other people. Although the game is contained, and I played all the Hawkeye DLC on my own. Jumping in with like Richie and you on a Thursday and playing as different characters, that is where the fun comes into it, because you're talking to each other, you're communicating, you're teaming up. That's where the most fun is to be had. But plenty of hours to be spent, whether you enjoy it or not. Next up from the Square Enix showcase, just to quickly touch on these 2 points, we got a bit of kind of an Outriders promotion push. Of course, Outriders comes out in just short of 2 weeks now. Available on Stadia. Free on Game Pass, which I don't think we've did we mention last week's show?
I think we're intentionally trying not to mention it.
Okay, yeah. If you've got,
we can't skirt around it any longer. So.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Outriders comes out on Stadia, PlayStation, PC, and such. However, if you have Xbox Game Pass, it is included with the subscription, which is an amazing get for Microsoft, the green team. Again, does it dissuade me from buying it over here? Not really, because I want to play the game on Stadia that I've got now. But more importantly, I like to own the game. Having it on a subscription, if I want to go back to it in, I don't know, 7-8 months time or whatever, they drop some more content, I don't want to have to subscribe again. But that's just my methodology. Everyone has their own ways of approaching it. And the great thing with the game is, it's cross-play and cross-progression. So no matter who has it where, you can drop a link with a friend and play anywhere. So it doesn't matter. Either of you, how are you feeling about this game now? We're creeping up on it still. Jumping in on it or not?
I'm lukewarm on it. I would be more excited if I wasn't like bogged down in other games. So at the moment, I probably will pick it up at some point, but I don't think it'll be a day and date pick up for me.
Yeah, I'm sort of with Richie on this, and the reason I'm sort of with Richie on this is it's not going to be day and date. And the reason for that is we haven't actually got it listed in the doc, but we had a little game drop on Stadia this week called Dragon Quest XI.
We did.
Completely out of the blue, another Square Enix game, I might add, as well, while we're on the topic of Square Enix. If you want 100% that game, you're looking at sinking in like 120 to 150 hours plus to 100% that game. And the Dragon Quest series is quite a long-running, like akin to Final Fantasy, a long-running, well-loved franchise. If you've not seen it before, the art style is very... It's Akira Toriyama art, who's very well known for the Dragon Ball series, that sort of anime art style. Great RPG, well worth checking out. You can play it in both either the 3D mode or in an old 2D sort of pixelated mode as well, which is fantastic too. So if you're a bit of a fan of an old school top-down JRPG, you can definitely give that a shot. But the price they were pushing at as well, Richie, you said you've picked it up. I picked it up as soon as I found out about it.
Well,
that's going to be my binge over Easter. I can guarantee it for certain. So
yeah, I'm a big JRPG fan, but I've never played any Dragon Quest games. They've always just kind of passed me by. So when it dropped, and I'm just trying to look up the price now, I remember looking at the price and going, you know what, I'm happy to pay that for my first experience with Dragon Quest.
I think it was £32.99, that is. But this is also the highest rated of all of the Dragon Quest games that's come out as well. It's the most critically acclaimed, and as it is the Dragon Quest XI S version, it's got a very long name. It's probably one of the longest names on Stadia at the moment, to be honest. Echoes of an Echelon, I think it is, or something like that.
Echoes of an Elusive Age, or something.
Of an Elusive Age,
Definitive Edition S.
Definitive Edition S. It obviously comes with a lot of additional content as well. It is sort of like your equivalent of like a Game of the Year sort of edition, where you get extra content, Ultimate Edition sort of thing. But yeah, so I'm really sorry to say, but Outriders is probably going to go on the back burner for a little bit, because I got a lot of JRPG to play now.
Yeah. When this was dropped on the blog, right? Just like randomly.
It just came out on the Tuesday, and it was there.
It's £27.99 with the pro, if you're a pro member.
Good shout.
Down from $34.99. So it's like, yeah, for a game that's like you're going to easy sink like 60 to 100 hours into.
Yeah.
As a JRPG fan, I look at that price and going, yeah, this is my time to try out Dragon Quest. I mean, I could have bought it on the Switch, but I didn't.
Because now you can play anywhere, Richie, not just on your Switch. So
and again, the reviews are coming in. The reviews are coming in on Stadia and saying that it plays incredibly well as well. It actually, from what I read online, it actually plays best on Stadia compared to other platforms. Really? But the game has been out for a while on other platforms, so it is past gen. So in terms of like PS4, Xbox One, but it does play best on Stadia in terms of stability, frame rate, and so on as well. So. Good get all around, I think.
It was such a surprising one as well.
And more support from Square Enix. Like, if we're getting good JRPGs, just give me my Final Fantasies, I'm good.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, at what point have Square Enix put more effort into it than Ubisoft have now?
Yeah.
Like, where's that? I'm curious to know what the numbers are with titles, because they must be catching them up.
If I start to see things like Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12, and so on, then I'm sorry, but like my wallet's going to be dry, because I'm going to support Square Enix the whole way. They're probably my favorite publisher to support, if I'm going to be completely honest.
They're probably mine, you know. They're definitely in the mix of my favorite publishers.
Yeah, they seem to be ramping up recently. Like, I realised myself playing Avengers and then playing Outriders, and then when the showcase was on, they had Tomb Raider and Life is Strange. I was kind of sat there thinking, shit, I really like Square Enix games without really realising, because I've never been a big Final Fantasy fan, so I know that's always been like their big wheelhouse like franchise. And they do a lot of stuff in between. So really interesting. And so that wasn't part of the showcase, but funny enough, we got it randomly dropped through the week. One of the other things to just kind of wrap up the showcase, which they did show off, was the Tomb Raider trilogy, which we're big fans of here at Sounds of Stadia. They showed off a Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Edition trilogy collection, which hasn't came to Stadia, and that just made me like think of the question to put out to you two. How do compilations really work on this platform when the games are obviously all in the cloud? So having the trilogy doesn't really make any difference to the 3 games being available anyway. I suppose you could say that for all digital content, but you know what I mean? Like, this isn't in the Stadia store, even though they could very much do it within... All they would need to do is drop the artwork in and the link to all 3 games with like a menu screen. So obviously not that simple.
Depends if they're going to go down like the almost Hitman route of bring out these games where they're all in the same actual game bundle, rather than a bundle with where one purchase and you get 3 games. But it'd be dead easy to just... I'd imagine to just go, he grouped them together, slap a new bit of artwork on it, here's new price, done.
But it's not there. I just thought it was interesting that we have all 3 games. And
I suppose it depends on whether it's going to be released as a standalone sort of, physical media, sort of akin to, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Because if it is going to be something like that, you can imagine you boot it up and you've got like your 3 start screens that you can pick which chapter you go into. In which case it's almost its own software package, isn't it? So then it would have to be released as its own standalone game. Like, I get what you say, but it's different to buying 3 separate games.
If it's not
one game with it inside.
If it's not a standalone, he's one software package that contains 3 games. If it's more just a bundle, well, basically we already have a way of doing that on Stadia. It's any Deluxe edition that comes with DLC. It goes, this bundle contains, and lists us, and there you go.
True. It's I just like stuff in nice little packages. That's for me. Like, even though I don't think it's actually getting a physical release, because it's available now as soon as the news dropped, and it's on PlayStation Store with a discount. I think it's about £20 or so. So it's like £20 for all 3 games. It's an amazing deal if you've never played them before. But again, it just made me think about like compilations and stuff, and how Stadia will approach them from a digital standpoint. Like, Hitman does it really, really well, where you can buy the games within the games essentially. But how that works for other titles, it's left to be seen.
Another shout out to a good Square Enix game.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings it to a wrap for the Square Enix spring event. I'm really looking forward to what they've got in the pipeline going forward with these extras. They said they'd be back in the summer, so probably just to piss on E3 when they can't pull anything together. They'll probably just host their other event. We'll have an EA, we'll have a Ubisoft, a PlayStation, and poor E3 are just going to sit there wondering why they own a venue in LA.
Nobody loves them.
And nobody wants to go. They've really been screwed over harsh. I saw them trying to pull together like a digital event, but the reality is, why would you?
They're still charging like hundreds of thousands to be part of the digital event, and when we could host it ourselves for less.
Yeah, it's not a good business practice anymore.
I mean, we could host it if Square could send us the video and we could put it up for free. Like, let alone. Like, why would you pay someone to do it digitally? It makes no sense in the modern world. Yeah. But either way,
it's probably worth the money when you're on the convention floor and you're interacting with fans and you're interacting with other developers. That's probably where you get the value. But for a video showcase, I wouldn't pay it personally.
It don't work.
It certainly
doesn't. Don't work.
Speaking of stuff that doesn't work, apparently embargoes from Ubisoft, because our next story up on the week is Rainbow Six Quarantine, or also known as Rainbow Six Parasite, also known as Rainbow Six, we'll name it when we realise how serious the pandemic is. There's a guy over on it was on Facebook Gaming of all the places this was streamed. We've seen some footage. The first unreleased footage, by the way. So Ubisoft have kept this very close to the chest outside of a launch trailer tease. Guys, we've actually seen what it looks like and what it plays like. So Rainbow Six Parasite as it's labeled, but whether that ends up being the final name or not. We know Rainbow Six Siege was rated for Stadia months ago at this point, and yet we're still yet to see it. We're hoping it's going to be in line with next gen, with the next gen launches for PS5 and our current gen, I guess, Xbox. Here we are, hopefully not far out, and we're starting to see now these creepy zombie people. It looks like there's like alien nests. It reminds me of the Call of Duty Alien DLC they added a few years ago. And it looks like you have to find missing in action people, put trackers inside of egg nests, one of those creepy like alien pod ball things, and hunt stuff down. And there's a lot of yellow. Have you guys actually seen the video clip, or has the video been banned now?
It got pulled down before I had a chance to watch it.
Yeah,
so I haven't seen it.
Oh well, it might be in our podcast. It may be cut depending on if Ubisoft find it.
Get DMCA'd, Chris.
Well, obviously I pulled the clip out from the YouTube video, but I'm looking at the article now from Eurogamer, and the video's not there. Yeah. So yeah, in a nutshell, lots of little sneaky aliens. And to be fair, we didn't have an embargo, so now it's out there. Once something's on the internet, Ubisoft, it's out there, unfortunately. But again, game looks typical Rainbow Six action, just with the added bonus of creepy zombie alien things chasing you around everywhere, or parasites, as I guess they're coming to be known. This is one that I'm kind of just fed up of waiting now. I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
And clearly, this guy who's released the footage isn't going to be playing anytime soon. He's probably going to get took to court, as they say, for breach of his DMC.
It's one of them things. It's like if you're in a privileged position where Ubisoft are going to let you play show you some of this footage, you've just bent them bridges so quick by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And now other publishers are probably not going to trust you either.
Well,
so it's just not worth doing, in my opinion.
No, Facebook Gaming of all places as well.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Either way, we'll probably hear more and see more about that. Now the cat's out of the bag, that probably usually forces the hand to actually talk about it a little bit more, finalise the name. And we have suspected we're probably going to see Ubisoft forward at some point imminently as we trickle into... we're nearly in April, gentlemen. How crazy is that? Like, spring clocks go forward next week for us over in the UK. And we get a bit of light, we get a bit of daylight back. Boo. Missed that precious sleep. And but the year is ticking over, and we're still quite short on the game announcements front, especially when publishers like WB push games back, because next story of the week is Gotham Knights. Is the latest game to be delayed. It's been pushed back to 2022 now. We expected things like this, right, gents? Pandemic and the pushback. Richie, you said before it was always going to happen later rather than sooner. All the games that were already cooked.
Games slated for 2021 are going to be hit harder by the pandemic than those slated for 2020.
Yeah. So they put out a tweet. It was nice and simple. It wasn't quite cyberpunk, an entire War and Peace. They've essentially said Gotham Knights will now launch worldwide in 2022. We're giving the game more time to deliver the best possible experience for players. Thank you to our amazing fans for your tremendous support of Gotham Knights. We look forward to showcasing more of the game in the coming months. So again, probably some kind of WB digital event later in the year to show us off that one.
It's a pretty cookie cutter statement these days, isn't it? It's very much like, we're going to put it in the oven, let it cook for a little bit longer. Thank you for your support. We look forward to showing you more in the future.
I'm okay with that, because I don't think a lot needs to be said. You don't need to go into massive details behind the delays. Just look, it's not coming this year. It'll be next year. We'll tell you a bit more about it later in the year. That's it.
Yeah.
In and out.
And I think a lot of these publishers will have not learned a lesson, but they'll look to the lesson learned by CD Projekt Red last year, because just when I think back to CD Projekt Red, imagine if they had just delayed that until this summer when there's no big titles out. They could have had the entire summer at the I'm trying to think, at their whim, essentially. And they forced it out, and that game's still not out on PS4, guys. Remember, it was pulled from the digital store. It's been 3 months and it's still not back, which is crazy. Obviously, they've made their millions anyway, so... But yeah, we won't be seeing Gotham Knights this side of Christmas anywhere. But what we will be seeing is Disco Elysium, the final cut, which was announced at one of the summer showcases. Coming to Stadia, it's been announced to be dropping on March 30th, so just over a week from now. Very, very well-revered game, won plenty of game plaudits and awards last year, and they've kind of bundled it all together with the DLC for the final cut. This one looks great. I don't know if we've got a price on Stadia yet. I don't think they've...
we do. It's $34.99.
£34.99.
Or $39.99 or...
Same in euros.
Yeah.
And this one has voice acting. I did notice that. I saw people giving it shit, and I was kind of like... I don't know how much impact that'll have on the actual game, but if they felt the need to go out and get professional voice actors to come in and do it, then clearly it adds something extra to the game. It's an interesting one, this title, because I feel like I've heard loads about it, but I've never actually sat down and really paid attention to what it's about. It's some kind of like detective story game with such a unique, almost like camera angle style. But again, it won loads of awards, so it must be good for a reason. Either of you two tempted by this one, or is it just going to get lost in the mix?
I'd like to go and play it at some point. I just don't know when, because it's a game that's scoring like 90s. IGN give it like a 9.6. Like, this is like top tier video game. Cool. And the first time I heard of it was actually at the Game Awards, when it was up for like best role playing game, best indie game, best narrative. It's like, what?
I like the idea of the
I don't
systems.
want to sleep on it. I think there's a fantastic game there that's definitely worth trying out.
I'm so struggling with this one, because I love the art style, I love the systems in the game, and I love the idea of it. I just don't know. I don't know why I can't commit to it.
I'm the same.
I'm really struggling it. Like, some games I can really just be like, again, sorry to shout about again, but like Dragon Quest, I was immediately like, yes, bye. But for this, there's something that I'm just like, something is holding me back, and I can't put my finger on what it is. I don't know, but
I think for me, the thing that what's holding me back and just buying it is just I've got other stuff to play.
Okay.
Part of me
I would prefer to be playing at the moment. So
yeah, part of me thinks it might be like the pro conditioning. When I look at like any game that's got like indie aesthetics.
Yeah.
My brain just goes, this might be free if you hold off, Chris. Just give it another month or two, and it'll come down in price, and then eventually it'll be free. I don't know whether I'm just getting more patient in the way I spend my money in my older age.
Yeah.
Or, like Richie said, I've just got that... Do I have that much stuff to put? I suppose I've still got Watch Dogs sat there that I've not even thought twice about. But, yeah. Either way, like Richie said, top-rated game. Definitely recommend it. It's another fantastic get for the platform. That it's the final cut, it's the complete version of the game, and it's another, again, award-winning title that we've now got on Stadia. So it's definitely worth having as opposed to not having. Exciting stuff. Speaking of award-winning titles, we pass it over to the next announced game. Zorro: The Chronicles has been announced. I'd never heard of this game in existence prior to this week, but it looks really, really fun. So Don Diego de la Vega, the beloved son of a respected landlord, has returned to California after 5 long years in Spain. Longing for his father and sister, his heart is filled with joy and anticipation of seeing them again and returning to the peaceful town. However, things are no longer the same as when he left. The town is now ruled by Captain Monasterio, whose greed only rivals his ambition. The poor townspeople, who cannot pay exorbitant new taxes, are sent to jail, and their families are forced to work off the debt. The once joyful community is now a place of oppression and hopelessness. It's essentially like a Mask of Zorro game.
I love the fact that we're getting a Zorro game. I don't know what it is about it. It's just so throwback to just thinking Antonio Banderas.
That's exactly. I wanted to read that whole statement in that, but then I thought I'd get criticised more than I would praise. So.
Oh wow. Huh.
It looks fun, if I'm honest. It's got humorous.
It does.
Like again, he cuts people's underpants down very much like Puss in Boots would. I like
it's quite a tongue-in-cheek comedy style.
It just kind of reminds me of like just some like little puzzles, almost like if a Lego Zorro game was made, except for it wasn't made in Lego. This is kind of what I would expect from it. He brandishes a whip. He's got Zorro's cool, right, guys? It's not just me thinking like Zorro's cool. Like Indiana Jones like levels of like just got the hat, can't see his eyes, and it's Antonio Banderas for everyone pretty much.
Zorro's due for a resurgence, I reckon. I think Hollywood needs to make a new Zorro film.
They do, yeah. Would you bring?
When the last Zorro game came out, take a guess.
98.
I'm going to say 90s.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
Was it 2019?
It
last week. Yeah.
I'll give you a clue. It came out on the Nintendo Wii.
2003.
Okay, so it's like early 2000s, 2005.
2010, actually.
Ooh, still over a decade ago.
Yeah.
Zorro.
I can see that. Like,
Zorro Quest for Justice.
Like with the motion controls could work.
I'm very surprised that like I loved the Zorro film. Like I absolutely loved it. Like ate it up. I just so good. So much fun as a kid. But I feel like you said that it's due a resurgence because there's not been any sort of like Legend of Zorro related content that's come out to the point that I feel like a game that's targeted quite clearly at a young audience, because it even says in the launch trailer like may contain humorous fight scenes that children will love and parents too. It's like brilliant. Like you're actually targeting it at us, right? But kids, even though it clearly is a game that should be targeted at a child's audience, it's like they don't have that link to the pop culture, to the film like we do, that we remember.
There's probably like a cartoon that we're not aware of. That's
like maybe I'm completely out of the whole thing here. But
looking at the game, it says like live a hero's life and fight for justice. Play as the legendary Zorro or his sister, so there is two potential character options. Develop by unlocking better stats, new moves, and talismans. Better fighting techniques. Enjoy fun, rewarding, swashbuckling combat featuring hilarious yet spectacular finishing moves. Choose your playthrough style. Adapt your approach to a wide variety of enemies. Use ninja-like stealth to take on your opponents by surprise. And enjoy beautiful, designed, colourful locations with eye-catching visuals as breathtaking as Zorro, the animated series. So that's what it's based on then. It's weird that it's called Zorro the Chronicles, right? It should be called the Chronicles of Zorro. It would seem like the right way to position those words. But don't know who it's made by. BTC Studios, PvP Games. Never heard of them, but swashbuckling fun for all to be had.
As long as it actually plays well, it could be a good game.
Who was the female lead in that Zorro movie? It was Anthony Hopkins was in it. Antonio Banderas. Who was who played the love interest?
It was. I'm checking this out now. Oh wow, actually. Zorro.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
That's who I wanted to say. I didn't want to stereotype.
Yeah. Wow. The Legend of Zorro.
Jones. The Legend of Catherine Zeta-Jones. And speaking of a weird twist of Stadia news, not only do we get Zorro the Chronicles, but this week we also got the Typing Chronicles. Not related. Not related. Don't get
the way you said that.
Don't get your keyboards in a twist. Nanotale Typing Chronicles is coming 31st of March. We knew about this. It's from the Stadia Makers program. It was revealed like months ago right now at this point, where essentially you use, it's similar to Lost Words actually, Richie, in the way you use the words to make your movements within the world. Very unique style of game, coming in a few weeks. So tells a fantastic
I actually believe
story.
It's also a sequel to Epistory Typing Chronicles as well, which we have on Stadia.
Oh, of course, that's already out.
It does actually look quite cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to give us a first look, Richie, and see what we get. So, in
Nanotale,
Nanotale,
do you know what the price is on it?
No, delivers a blend of typing, adventure, and RPG experience. Players stumble and interact with other characters, solve various puzzles, and unleash magical powers to defeat foes. The game draws players in with its unique game mechanics. It's everything from movement to combat, even to menu controls, is accomplished using solely a keyboard, thus challenging players to sharpen their typing skills throughout the game. How is this going to work on a controller?
It won't.
Is it on-screen, on-screen keyboard, do we think?
Because it has some sort of radial menu where you can just like cycle through letters and it automatically...
I think that's kind of defeating the objective of the game. It's a typing game. It's a game that's meant to help you improve your typing, ultimately.
But not everyone has a mouse and keyboard.
Well, maybe you should, you peasant.
My argument against that is, if you don't have a mouse and keyboard, then this game isn't for you.
You might not know that though. If you bought Stadia and you've got a Chrome, I guarantee a lot of people who have Stadia don't have a PC as well.
Oh yeah, if you threw this out to the Facebook community, I'm sure there'll be people there who say, "What's the point of this game? I've got a controller." I
wonder if it comes with like a warning or something like keyboard prioritized.
Keyboard
please.
warriors only.
Yeah.
Keyboard warriors indeed. And next up on the news docket, we have the PlayCrafting GameJam event 2021, which wrapped up this past weekend. Loads of creators was part of the Stadia Makers program, sponsored by Unreal Engine. They all got together and basically made some games over a weekend. All these developers, using the power of the cloud, just got together, guys, and just made some games from scratch. It's crazy to see. It wasn't really spoke about anywhere, but they did announce the winner, so I just wanted to draw some attention to it. The winner was the Intergalactic Personnel Recovery System. Really catchy name, guys. Made by Kartik, Kini and Eric Cook. They won the Stadia Makers package. They won a bunch of free digital merch and such as well. Essentially, if you've ever heard of the game Papers, Please, it's similar to that game, where the theme is essentially, the theme for the whole series was Lost and Found, probably due to the amazing Among Us one-on-one. I think the winner got an hour conversation with the Among Us developers as well to kind of share tips.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
So that's what the theme was. So what they've made essentially is a game where you act as a 911 or 999 in the UK emergency services operator for the entire universe. And basically a ticker presents you with coordinates to dispatch rescue units to. And as time goes on, some of the pieces of the information get hidden through various panels, essentially like, spam and adverts that pop up. So the longer you play the game, the more windows appear overlaid.
Oh, man, okay.
So it's all about management, and essentially you have to dispatch the emergency services correspondence to the emergencies while trying to... It's basically, you're a 911 operator, but you're the only person working that shift. And every single problem from the universe is coming through your computer screen. So you've got to manage everything, dispatch people... so not a very character-based game.
You're doomed to fail, but how long can you keep it going?
It seems to be. Obviously, this was made over the course of a weekend, so it's probably not as detailed as they would love it to be at this moment in time. But I just wanted to give a big shout out to Kartik, Kini, and Eric Cook, because this could be very much on Stadia. They have the rights to this game.
Well,
they
can
can
go
go
on
on
Stadia Makers program now. So
yep. Obviously, they did have as part of this competition freedom to take their game elsewhere. They don't have to play it on Stadia. There's no moral contractual obligations, which is what I think was a nice caveat to the event to have. But yeah, it's actually, if you follow, I'll try and drop the link in the description if I do remember. But you can actually download the game now and test it out for yourself. If you so can. And there was plenty of other games. There was one where a cat stole a wizard's hat, and you had to try and traverse through like a 2D platform world to try and catch this damn cat. There was one where it was like a baby at the beach or something, and it was basically a baby lost its mother, and you would crawl through along a beach 2D platform to try and get to the mother. It just loads of like wacky, crazy stuff. That came out of the event. Is anything
cooler than like a game jam? Like he's a weekend, he's your theme, go. Let's see what you come up with.
It's just where you really see like the essence of creativity just manifest, isn't it? It's just like you get an idea and people just run their minds to come up with some crazy shit. Yeah. I love it. I think it's such a good idea.
Certainly. So congratulations again to Intergalactic Personnel Recovery System. Maybe we'll see you soon on Stadia. Speaking of real warriors though, Tom, Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, the game that I've spent far too much of my life in, is getting its first expansion pass. The Wrath of the Druids, first major expansion.
The luck of the Irish.
It launches 29th of April, set in Ireland to commemorate St. Patrick's Day last week. A new country added to the game, and we see our hero, Ivar, track members of a Druidic cult named the Children of Danu into the Gaelic myths and folklore of Ireland. New quests, activities, villains, bad guys, mission strands, all that kind of typical Assassin's Creed challenges that do come into the game, dropping later on this spring. So
plus a whole new area for you to explore, 100%.
Yeah, that's another thing. New skills. I'm actually excited to because I think I said at the end of when I finished the game, originally, I had all the best loot and weapons and armor that I'd built up towards, and then the game finished. Yeah. So you kind of never get a chance to enjoy the best equipment you've ever had to feel so empowered. So DLC always gives you a good opportunity to actually use that and go test yourself out in new fronts too. It's also dropping alongside some of the seasonal content. So the great thing with Assassin's Creed is not only do you get the seasonal pass stuff you can pay for, but they do drop free content and free missions into the world as well. So even if you don't have the gold season pass or anything like that, you'll still be able to jump back in with some exciting new stuff. And I think we're expecting the Siege of Paris later on in the year, so that's going to be coming in the summer too. You going to jump back into it, Richie? And for Tom, are you going to play this game ever at all?
For me, I'm probably not going to jump back into it. But there again, it's a rare game that I actually play the DLC on because I tend to play games quite slowly anyway. So by the time I'm like rolling credits on the game, I'm ready to move on to something else.
And Tom? How many hours have you put into Valhalla? I'm really.
Oh my god! I knew this was going to come around.
As the person who has Nordic tattoos,
you were so excited.
Right?
For this
Okay.
game.
Okay. Let me make one thing clear to everybody in the community.
Fake Norse fan.
Yes.
Fake gamer.
No. Yes, I play video games. I do not have the time to play video games at the moment because I've got a lot going on with work and at home with child on the way and stuff like that. I still haven't played Cyberpunk. I still haven't played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yes, I am behind on all of my gaming. I will find a time to play it. I did find time to play Odyssey. I found time to play Origins. You know, I will find time to play Valhalla in the future.
It's all the time you spend playing FIFA.
It is. To be fair, all that time playing FIFA should be spent completing a mission, completing a side quest or something like that. But don't worry, folks. I will try it at some point, and I will be able to talk about it with these guys. But I intentionally stayed away from the spoiler cast episode for a reason.
Yeah.
That is true, because if you are getting round to the Valhalla DLC, remember myself and Richie did a full Valhalla spoiler cast on episode 3 of Sounds of Stadia SideQuest, where we went deep on that game. We broke everything down. We discussed villains, storylines, plots, bad physics and mechanics in the game, good physics and mechanics in the game, and our overall takes on the game. So you can still go check that out, because it's going to be an evergreen one. Whenever Tom finally gets around to finishing it, you can go back and listen and be like, the guys were right. This character was an arsehole. This mechanic was terrible.
Spoilers, come on.
One of them shows, it was intended to be a half-hour show, and 45 minutes in, I realised that we're about a third of the way through the plot.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game. We could have spoke for ages on it. But yeah, so
easy.
So keep your eyes out for more Valhalla DLC in the future, because Ubisoft do a great job at supporting their single-player titles on a long trajectory as well. So I'd imagine we're going to see Valhalla content right through to the announcement of the next Assassin's Creed entry. And following on from that, we've got some more DLC coming from Bethesda. We know last week we spent some time talking about the Bethesda potentially not supporting Stadia in the future, down to the Microsoft family partnership now. We got the second expansion for Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 2 dropped. And I will say the trailer for this DLC looked fantastic. Really gave me the itch to play Doom, because I do own Doom 2016. I picked it up on a sale for Stadia. And similar to what Tom was saying, it's just finding the time to kind of jump in and think, am I going to give it the dedicated hours that it deserves? I don't want to jump in and play it 1 or 2 hours. I want to be able to commit like 10 to 15 at least to really, really get into the gritty nature of it. But Ancient Gods Part 2 available now.
I need to go back to Doom Eternal, because Doom's one of them games when I've got, when you just have that itch to just play a first-person shooter, it's just full-on chaos. It's not usually in my wheelhouse, but occasionally I just want to shoot some demons in the face with a rocket launcher. That's what Doom is.
Yeah,
for me,
it's fantastic at it.
For me with Doom, I've had to sort of put a stop on it. Like I've got 2016, I've got Eternal. I've played quite a bit of Eternal, to be honest with you, but because I was playing on like Nightmare or one of the highest difficulties, not the highest difficulty, I had to stop with it, because I think Doom is one of those games that while you can run around and play with a controller, it's very much a twitchy shooter as well. Yeah. So I think I'm going to jump back into it with mouse and keyboard rather than controller, just because I like the ability just to be able to move that much slicker, I suppose, in a way, rather than it being more precise and more controlled, which you get with the controller. I like to be able to just quickly move my mouse and be, facing a different direction. Because there's so much going on.
I think I'd jump back in with mouse and keyboard if I was to jump back in.
I'm no good with mouse and keyboard, so I'll stick to controller. But Ancient Gods Part 2 is the epic conclusion to the Doomslayers saga and the second campaign expansion. You denied the gods and awoke an ancient evil. Now rally the scattered sentinel armies, lay siege to the last bastion of hell, break through the fortress walls, and face the Dark Lord himself. The soul of the universe hangs in the balance. Your war against hell ends here. So it sounds like that's the last entry in that DLC. And because that is the last war with hell, the final news story of the week is Last Kids on Earth. To get the name title right, The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom has been rated for Stadia. Tom, this is another animated adventure making its way over to Stadia. I don't know what the actual cartoon is, but I've heard it's very, very popular. Time to tear up Jack, Quint, June, and Dirk, unusual names for children, in a search for missing pieces of the ultra-powerful Staff of Doom. But beware, Melondre, Queen of the Slime Monsters, seeks the staff to summon Rezok the Ancient, Destroyer of Worlds. Upgrade your weapons, armor, and cruise around Wakefield. Wakefield.
Sorry, folks. For those who don't, who are wondering why we're laughing so much, Wakefield's a little bit too close to home for us.
It's also just like. Okay.
It's just such a random place to pick.
Yeah, so if you just Google Wakefield UK, and you'll see what type of just small town.
Oh.
So in a post-apocalyptic Wakefield, pickup truck, fight through hordes of zombies and massive monsters and epic bosses in The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom. So aside from its rural UK setting. It's another one from animated series to games. It caters more to obviously that younger audience, which we know the platform does have. But go check that one out. It's been rated, which means we'll probably see it as some content drop soon. Exciting stuff. I'm very intrigued to see what Wakefield looks like
that's cracking me up.
Envisioning it. We get to see Valhalla with how ancient Britain looks. We get to see the origins of Egypt and Greek mythology and Wakefield.
It's when we get games set in the UK, it's almost always London or maybe Edinburgh or occasionally York, and then you get Wakefield.
Wakefield.
Lovely. But that brings us to an end for our news stories of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget to like and subscribe down below and click that bell so you are kept in the loop with all of the amazing content myself, Tom, and Richie bring you here at Sounds of Stadia, like our weekly Thursday live streams, like our Let's Play series, like our first looks, like the Sounds of Stadia podcast, which you are probably listening to or watching right now. And aside from all that, we also have the Sounds of Stadia SideQuest show, which we're going to record straight after this. If you are a patron, you get this 5 days early exclusively over at patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where from as little as $1 you can support the channel a little bit more and get our content nearly a whole week early. So if you can't wait to listen to these topics being discussed, head over there, support us a little bit more. We do massively appreciate it, and it goes a long way to keeping a smile on our faces and knowing that we're loved, because we're very needy people. Richie, speaking of needy people, I'll hand it over to you.
I'm not that needy.
No, you need me to segue into the Sounds of Stadia SideQuest. What topic have we got for discussion this week, my friend?
This week we're talking about exclusive games that were exclusive to Stadia, but now are going cross-platform.
Ooh, you mean the games that we always knew were never going to be exclusive forever, but lots of people out there like to make a big deal out of it? Yeah, I've seen that.
Let's see that for that
We're done.
I've got some salt for that particular show. So remember, you can get that early. Good. You can get this show over on youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia as well. Follow us over on Twitter. I'm at CyberChris2077. Tom, you are
at Adaxis LP.
Richie
at RichieC89.
and you can follow us for all of our own personal takes. If you don't follow the Sounds of Stadia channel, we tend to get a bit more personal on our own feeds. We try and keep work and business and pleasure all separate. So if you do want some hot, spicy takes from us about games and such, follow us over on Twitter. And obviously, reach out to us. If you've got any questions for the show, send us them. Like, we want this to be a community thing. We try and get you as involved as possible. And we know there's hundreds of you out there, literally hundreds of you, watch the show every week, and we don't hear from you. So let us know in the comments down below your names, your questions, your theories, what you like, what you don't like. Same with SideQuest.
Good topic idea for SideQuest. I'll be happy to hear from you.
Exactly. Send it in. But that has been Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode number 78. We're creeping towards 100 now, gentlemen.
I know.
It's on the horizon. And thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by. Don't forget to enjoy those games in the cloud, and we'll see you soon. My name's been Chris.
I can't wait to go get my hair cut in Wakefield.
And I'm still being Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia, everyone. Have a great week. Game on. See you soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.